Hey guys, I hope that these will be posted by about 1 o'clock, so hopefully you'll have all day today to listen to them and get what you need out of them, and be ready for the test tomorrow. I'm going to make two videos, one very quick one about validity, both external and internal, because that is on the test and I'm not sure to what extent we went over it in class because I just can't remember. And then the second one's going to be about the impression formation stuff. So first, validity. All right, so although there are multiple kinds of validity, there's internal, external, construct, ecological validity. There's many kinds of validity that we have to concern ourselves with when we're designing our studies. So this topic is a research methods topic, so something that you would have read back in chapter 1. But I really want to focus on internal and external validity. Okay, internal validity is how able we are to say that our independent variable or our predictor, whatever variable we're saying is having an effect, to how able are we to say that that variable is affecting our dependent variable. Okay, the better able we are to say that our IV affected our DV, the better the internal validity we have. And anything that makes it harder, so any other alternative explanation that could explain the change in our DV, that serves as a threat to internal validity. So you probably heard people talk about confounds. A confound is a threat to internal validity, because a confound is any variable that varies systematically or varies in the same way as our independent variable does. So let's say that we are looking at the effect of temperature on aggression. Okay, so we have, this is an example we used in class once. So remember, so let's say our hypothesis is that people are more aggressive when they're in an uncomfortably hot room. Okay, so our experimental condition is keeping the room of the lab at 98 degrees, an uncomfortably hot room, and then the temperature in the non-experimental condition or the control condition at a comfortable 70 to 75 degrees. We'll say just 72 degrees to be safe. Okay. Now, if, for example, let me back up. If our study has internal validity, has good internal validity, then when we're done, if we find that people are more aggressive in the hot room than in the comfortable room, then we can say fairly definitively that temperature, variations in temperature, affect aggression if we have good internal validity. But let's say that instead we had some other variable occurring in the same way as the variation in temperature of the room. So for example, let's say that everybody in the hot room before our measure had a political debate. For some reason, all the participants got together and they just started arguing about politics. All right. Now, but the people in the comfortable room, they didn't. Okay, they didn't talk at all before the dependent variable. So now we have a confound. We have this frustrating situation, this arguing about politics, co-occurring with the variation in temperature. So now we don't know whether it was actually the uncomfortably hot temperature that caused people in that condition to be more aggressive, or the fact that they had a political debate before the dependent measure. So because this alternative explanation, whether or not people had a political debate, could potentially explain our DV, that means that our internal validity, our ability to say that our IV, temperature, affected aggression is weakened. We're not able to say it as definitively. In fact, with that particular set of situation, with that particular set of circumstances, we can't say it at all, because it's just as likely that the political debate caused people in the hot room to be more aggressive as it is that the hot room is what made them more aggressive. So internal validity refers to our ability to say that our IV is what caused a change in our DV. All right. Now, quickly, external validity. External validity is our ability to basically generalize, our ability to say that what we found is likely to be found again if we use similar people, similar materials, and in similar situations. We're able to generalize to most people in that population. All right. However, if we have something that makes our sample not representative, all right, so for example, let's say that I wanted to gauge let's use these recent presidential polls, all right. So before the election, every poll seemed to suggest that Clinton was going to win, all right, but in the end, Trump won. Now I know that there's, Clinton actually won the popular vote, and I know that it was an electoral college thing, but it was supposed to be a landslide. It wasn't supposed to have been as close as it was. So why? Well, it's possible that the sources that the Gallup polls were using to project the winner may have not been representative of the voting population. If that's the case, then the external validity of those polls is weak. All right, and that's the same for our studies. If something makes our sample unique, makes our sample different than the population that we're hoping to generalize, then our ability to generalize is weak. All right, our ability to say, hey, this is probably going to happen with other people, or the external validity of our study drops. Okay. Now, oftentimes, external validity gets confused with ecological validity or psychological realism. Okay, but external validity and ecological validity are different things. Okay, external validity really is just how able your study is to replicate. All right, can you replicate your study with other people? All right, is a similar process going to occur? Okay, ecological validity refers to how ecologically valid. That's silly to use the term in its own definition. I apologize. How lifelike the circumstances of your study are. All right, and many of the studies that we run in social psychology are not entirely ecologically valid. Many of them are, but many of them aren't, because we use things like reaction time measures, or we use other social cognitive measures which involve priming paradigms and things of that nature. These things are not ecologically valid. People don't look at subliminally presented information in their everyday lives. All right, so it's not really ecologically valid because it doesn't represent, or it doesn't resemble, what they experience in their everyday environment. It's not psychologically real. All right, it doesn't resemble real things that would happen. It doesn't have to be ecologically valid a study doesn't have to be ecologically valid to tap a process thought to happen, because you can come up with any contrived measure to tap a process, to test whether or not that process is happening. So it doesn't necessarily have to be ecologically valid, but it's usually thought of as being better if it is ecologically valid. Now, some mechanisms are flat. Certain mechanisms can't be studied in an ecologically valid way. All right, because of how fast the processes work, and a number of other things. But ecological validity, external validity, internal validity, these are all different things. All right, that is it for my validity lecture. If you have any questions, be sure to send those bad boys my way. All right, guys, I'm going to really quickly put together the other one, and that will be posted very soon. All right, guys, take it easy.